If you ever spoken in your second language during an interview, a meeting, or just a casual conversation, and you suddenly found your brain freeze, you might be wondering, am I using the right grammar? Does my accent sound too thick? Does the other person really understand what I'm saying? And these are actually signs of performance anxiety shaped by your unique immigrant experience. I know it because I've experienced it all, and I hated it. It really prevented me from living my life. Years of studying psychotherapy and being a therapist myself has finally helped me find ways to overcome it. So here I want to share 3 very simple and effective ways to get over your language anxiety or performance anxiety. Key point number 1 is to let yourself be anxious. This might sound very counterintuitive. You might be like, why would I want myself to be anxious? So hear me out. I'll give you an example of when I first started working as a baby therapist. So that was my very first in-person session in my entire life, and my client was American. I was so scared, so nervous. Even when I was explaining confidentiality, my throat slowly closed. It's like I couldn't talk anymore. And then I was like, oh shit, I start to feel panic about my anxiety. And everything just gets worse from there. There is nothing wrong about being anxious. Anxiety is a very normal emotion. But the problem is, a lot of time we start to feel anxious about anxiety, and we just aggravate it. The anxiety becomes 100-fold bigger and stronger. And here we want to understand there's a difference between our primary emotion and our secondary emotion. A very classic metaphor we use is called an iceberg metaphor.
So this is an iceberg, and primary emotion is under the water. It's what we actually feel about a situation, which is anxiety about speaking a new language, or feeling insecure about ourselves, or worried about being judged. And what we usually see is what is above the sea line. We call it a secondary emotion. And in this case, it's feeling anxious about being anxious, feeling panicked because I'm anxious.
And feeling anxiety is a very normal reaction. We all have anxiety in our everyday life. And especially if you're working or speaking a second language in the work setting, of course you're gonna feel anxious, right? But the worst part is when you start to feel anxious about the anxiety. Then the anticipation starts to make everything just worse. And the solution is very simple. You just recognize it and you validate it. By recognizing it, I mean you really ask yourself, what is the feeling I'm experiencing right now? And you label it using the word, I am feeling the emotion of anxiety in this case. And then we validate it. We tell ourselves that it's normal as a human being speaking a second language that I just don't feel confident enough about. I'm allowed to feel anxious in this moment. And if you find it hard to validate your own experience, you can think of it as, what will my best friend or my grandma, a family member that I love, tell me at this moment when I'm feeling anxious? If you're able to recognize your feeling and validate your feeling, you will find that you no longer feel bad about feeling bad, and the anxiety is just way easier to manage. After we're able to calm down that anxiety a little bit, we can start with the key point number 2. Take the risk and embrace the uncertainty. Performance anxiety, or language anxiety in the specific case, is actually about wanting to control what we don't have control over. I don't have control over how thick is my accent. I don't have to control over whether you will like what I want to say or not. But do I want to control all of it? Yes, I do. I want to sound perfect. I want to be loved and accepted by others, even though I don't know who you are. That is just another natural part of human experience. We all want to control, to feel safe. And most of us are risk aversion. We like to stay in our comfort zone, even though a lot of our time our comfort zone are not comfortable anymore. But we don't want to leave it. Because how scary would it be to step out of the norm and do something that I've never done in a million years? However, the quality of your life is really about how much you lived your life, meaning how much you push the boundary of your comfort zone. We can all imagine our comfort zone starting as a little circle that's maybe this big. And this is everything we're comfortable about. Anything go beyond that, we start to feel anxious, we start to feel nervous, we don't want to go there. But this is how big you're gonna live in this circle. Are you gonna live your entire life in this tiny circle? No, we don't want to do that. So we start to expand it a bit by a bit. And every time we expand it, it's uncomfortable. But slowly we can see the world start to become a little bit bigger. We start to experience more. And then pushing that boundary of the comfort zone also becomes easier. In this case of performance anxiety and language anxiety, the comfort zone for us is to speak a language that we don't feel 100% confident in to someone who is 100% fluent in that language. It might look like as an international student, raise your hand in the classroom for the first time. It might look like being able to have a small talk with someone in the coffee shop. It might look like going to a job interview. You feel so nervous that the interviewer will not understand what you're saying, but you tried it anyway. All of these things builds up and push your boundary a little bit by bit, and then eventually you just feel more confident using that language. And I think this key point number 2, to embrace the uncertainty and take risk, is so important, because the best way to get over the language anxiety and performance anxiety is just by exposure therapy. Expose yourself to uncomfortable situations and slowly get used to it. If you don't try, you will never get better. That leads us to key point number 3. Find your value compass. What is value compass? Let's imagine that each one of us are a little boat traveling through a tumultuous, big, open body of water. And at times, there might be shark, there might be thunderstorm, there might be big waves. These are the anxiety in your life. So how do you know where to go when you are experiencing those big waves? You find a compass and you look at where is north. And in this case, the compass is your value. Your value is the faith and belief you have for your life. No matter how hard the situation is, your value what holds true. So in this case, the value outweighs the anxiety, and it'll be easier for you to overcome the difficulty. When I was having anxiety speaking English to someone who's a native speaker, I found my value is kindness. So every time I talk to someone, what I'm experiencing right now, every time I say, the way I act, am I traveling towards my value of being kind, or am I traveling away from my value? It does 2 things. First, if I don't think about my value, then I'm likely just staying in my room, not going out or talk to anyone. Even though I see someone's being sad, I wanted to ask them how they're feeling, how's their day. I'll just get trapped. However, the moment I look at my value, I ask myself, if I'm living up to my value, what am I supposed to do at this moment? If I stay in my own comfort zone, then I'm not living up to my value. But if I show up asking that person, how are you doing? I saw that you're not feeling good. Then I am traveling towards my value. Your anxiety is really not a big deal anymore. Your value just outweighs your anxiety so much more, making it so much easier to do what you actually want to do, instead of letting anxiety run over the show of your life. The second thing it does is it distracts you. Instead of just consuming in your own anxiety, your own feeling, your own little world, you start to see a bigger world. You start to realize how other people are feeling. And that tiny moment of you moving out of your mind and seeing another person, a lot of time can help you overcome the initial barrier, get over that performance anxiety or language anxiety. And one more thing about value is maybe you're showing up, you're being kind, but the other person is not receiving it well. That is out of your control. You do not need to worry about things that's without your control. Your value are only things that's within your control. It's about how I want to show up, how I want to behave, how I want to think. It's not about how the other person receive it. And a simple tool we can use here is called a choice point. It's a technique that's very commonly used in acceptance and commitment therapy. The circle represents the situation you are in right now. It can be any moment. It can be a moment when you're worried about, should I raise my hand and say something, or should I just shut up and be quiet? And from the circle, there are 2 arrows shooting to the left and right. And right is your value. And here in this case, our value can be kindness, can be assertiveness, can be confidence, can be health, can be whatever that you think is important for you in your life. At each choice point, we ask ourselves, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm feeling, and what I'm thinking right now, is it leading me towards this value point? Or is it guiding me away from my value points? Try this, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave in a comment. So to summarize, the ways to overcome the performance anxiety or language anxiety in this specific case is to be able to allow yourself to feel the anxiety and validate your experience. Embrace the challenge and take the risk. And last one, let your values guide you. I would say the most difficult part of this journey is to take risks. So here is one more bonus point I love to share. This is a quote that I find myself repeating to myself when I feel scared during those moments of stepping out of my comfort zone. It says, there is freedom waiting for you on the breeze of the sky. And you ask, what if I fall? Oh, but darling, what if you fly? I hope you enjoyed today's video content and find it helpful for you to overcome your performance anxiety or language anxiety. My name is Chenxi. I'm a mental health counselor born and raised in China and currently living in the US. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And if you have any question about immigrant experience and mental health, please feel free to leave any comment or questions. See you next time.